Hello, and welcome to I Hated That Book, the podcast where a woman unapologetically in her rage era rants about the books she can't escape. I am your host, and basically, I read a lot of books. Last year, I think I read 118 books, and I didn't realize until recently that that not everybody is a manic completionist like me. I don't think I put a single one of those books down, but I hated most of them, and I need to complain about them, so now I have a podcast. I hate these books because they're bad and they're selling, which is, So on today's podcast, we will be discussing the Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by VE Schwab. It was published by Tor Books on October 6th, 2020. And the one-sentence summary, or tagline, as you will, is the story follows a young French woman in 1714 who makes a bargain with the dark that makes her immortal, but curses her to be forgotten by everyone she meets. This book received widespread acclaim. Here we are on its Goodread page. It has 1.3 million reviews and an average rating of 4.17 stars. So obviously somebody liked this book. I'm just not one of them. It was also a Goodreads Choice nominee for the favorite fantasy of 2020. And God knows why. First, a brief word about this podcast before I get started. First of all, there's going to be spoilers, so if you don't want this book spoiled, then please stop listening now. Second of all, I don't want to just flame stuff. I know writing a book is hard, and so I'm going to try to understand what it is that I liked or disliked about different books and be more analytical about it, and try to understand why my experience is so different from the 613,000 people who left 5-star reviews of this book on Goodreads. What's wrong with you people? But it's also fun to make fun of stuff. So I also just want to say I'm not trying to be mean or offensive to the author or to you. If you liked this book, we can have different taste. But I need to complain about why I hated it. Okay, so The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. In one sentence, the unbearable life of Addie LaRue. First, I'm going to talk about the different elements of the book, the characters, the plot, the world building, because it's fantasy. And then I'm going to read some of my favorite 1-star reviews. We're introducing a new segment today. And then we will end with my overall thoughts on the book. All right, let's get started. The characters. Addie LaRue, what can I say about her? She is awful. She is so stupid. And this is the second book I've read recently that's made feminists seem like whiny little brats. Because she's like, wah, I don't want to get married. Because life in provincial France in the 17th century sucks. No crap, you precious little snowflake. Why are you different than everybody else? She literally has this whole thing about her friend who has to get married and has this miserable life. And it's why are you more special than her? She's so dumb, it took her 10 years to learn how to read. I did love that particular detail. That was wild. And now she can just read ancient Greek fluently? First of all, see episode 1, not a thing that any modern person or any classicist will ever say about themselves. And also extremely hard to do. How does this girl who spent 10 years just learning how to read her native language know all of these languages? It's what? Mary Sue, go away! The author is just so inconsistent about her abilities. And also, speaking of languages, if she's so much of the flashbacks, she is in France. I don't understand when she had the time or energy or opportunity to learn all these languages. She must have done it all between 1900 and 1960 or something when she's in Louisiana. When did she learn when? And how, if she's so stupid and she doesn't have the opportunities to go to school? Where else is she going to learn ancient Greek? You think she's just picking that up? What? Sure, you can learn, German by going to Germany, but you can't go. I gotta stop. This book is literally just her sleeping her way through history. Why is that entertaining? Why? Not just sleeping her way through history, but stealing her way through history. She steals people's time. She spends months with them that they can't even remember later. And then she steals people's stuff. And it's on the one hand, yeah, stick it to, Robin Hood. But she's not Robin Hood. She steals from people who are down on their luck. She steals from all sorts of people. Why are we rooting for her? And don't tell me that she's just stealing to survive, because clearly she's not. She steals clothes. She steals food she doesn't need. She's immortal. Why is stealing from a dressmaker acceptable? That's his job. Why are you being like this? Why am I supposed to root for her? Also, just a side note also, so she starts out, I just would like to say that in the 16th, 17th century, atheism was not really an option for people in the way that it is. So that is kind of an anachronism that is introduced, although they definitely did have mixtures of pagan beliefs, with, especially in more rural areas. But I did find her kind of atheism to be very anachronistic. Also, the Mary Sue, she is just, I don't like the term Mary Sue, but she is just the most beautiful artistic muse. Like that whole thing, I was gagging. Oh my God, like why is she so perfect and wonderful and beautiful? And then we have her lover, Henry. I literally forgot his name when I was writing my notes about this book. I just refer to him as Manic Pixie Dream Boy. Very forgettable. Also very questionable, like not a good person. Is it kind of non-consenty that he sleeps with people who are forced to like him by magic? That's kind of really gross. That was really gross. And I did love that he had a very diverse cast of friends. The black best friend trope is alive and well. That's all I have to say about that. And then we have Luke, very subtly named. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. Very subtle naming. I'm going to get back to him when we talk about the plot because I have some thoughts. So that's what I have to say about the characters of this book. Now for the plot. There is no plot. Seriously, what is the plot of this book? You are literally just watching a brat have sex for 300 years. That's literally all that happens. There's no narrative pull, there's no tension, especially because there's like never any real consequences for Addie because she's immortal. Oh, boo-hoo, she's uncomfortable for a widow bed. Grow up. And it took so, like the premise you read on the back cover is, oh, Addie LaRue has been cursed by this devil. It took like 100 pages for that to happen. And the entire time you're like, yeah, can we just get to the point already? And then the point happens and you're like, now what? When did the interesting things happen to her though? I'm sorry, but for me, a plot means like, okay, you have a problem that you're trying to solve. What is Addie's problem exactly? And how does she solve it? Yeah, okay, so she's cursed. Sort of. She makes this deal with the devil. She gets cursed. Now she lives forever, but people don't remember her. How does she solve that problem? Okay, she falls in love and someone writes a book about her, but even though she makes that little decision at the end, which I will get to be like, oh, I'm gonna, trick the devil. First of all, no, you're not. How has this changed her situation? This is why there's no growth, there's no plot, there's no change. Nothing happens in this book. The only thing that does happen is she meets Manic Pixie Dream Boy, who is apparently going to die. And I was like, oh no, he's going to die. And then he doesn't for reasons that are still unclear to me. Somehow their curses cancel out or whatever. That is still very unclear to me how that hand wavy thing worked. Sometimes she just teleports back and forth during her travels. Like I said, she spends way too much time in France, and then all of a sudden she has all this knowledge about everything. And then I thought she was in America, and then all of a sudden she's in Nazi Germany, and I was like, why do we need to know that the devil hates Nazis? So I would just call this book a bunch of random episodes stitched together into a quote-unquote narrative. So then you get to the end, sort of the end, and she starts sleeping with Lucifer or whatever he's supposed to be, and I was like, no. Oh my God, absolutely not. Are you telling me that this is another Shadow Daddy romantasy? Tell me I'm wrong. I'm waiting. He is literally all about shadows. Like he literally is the darkness. He's ancient and super old and way more powerful than her. And tell me he's like super sassy and, he's kind of ambiguous. Like tell me this is not just a Shadow Daddy romantasy. And why does he never take her immortality away? Is this some fae crap? This is just, to me, a Sarah J. Maas wannabe who thinks that they're all lit-ficky and pretentious. And it's just dressed up ACOTAR. And then the ending, it's like, what? You think that this idiot is going to outsmart the devil now? What in the last 300 years has made us think that she's capable of that? I'm waiting. Very dumb ending. That's all I have to say about the non-existent plot. So now I'm going to talk for a few minutes about the world building. And again, there is none. Who is this? Is he really the devil? Why is he the devil? Are there other gods? Is he the only one? Does God exist? And there are a lot of small gods. Is he Satan, a fallen angel? What is this? There are no answers. Why does Satan, whatever he is, why is he interested in mortals? Why is he horny for Addie? That's the big question. Why is he magic? Where is his power from? Why do their curses cancel out? Why does Addie have any power? Why do people just forget? Why? So many whys. So many whys. I think the only world building you get in this novel is coffee is tasty in lots of parts of the world. And also, Addie is an inspiration for lots of artists. That's it. Now I'm going to move on to my new little section, in which I'm going to read some of my favorite 1-star reviews from Goodreads. And I'm going to attribute them to the people who wrote them. And if you're one of the people who wrote these reviews, let me know. For Marta, we have so many words, so little plot. The whole novel is Addie walking around and whining, followed by the introduction of Henry, who walks around whining and crying. Together they walk and whine around. The end. It took 10 years to write this novel because the author was running out of nouns to fill up her Mad Libs. Rochelle says this was a nightmare, and specifically points out the insta-love and cringy rom-com montage scenes. And I particularly liked, can someone please count how many times Addie LaRue wants to be a bleeping tree? Emma says our protagonist Addie LaRue is a complete bozo. The whole thing reminds me of how I watched Marie Antoinette with a friend and spent the entire duration of it unable to believe I was expected to sympathize with Marie Antoinette. Sure, she had to get married to someone she didn't want to marry, along with every woman alive. Is it my fault she lived a life of incredible privilege and didn't spend it very well? No, it's not. Nicole says, Addie, our main character, made a deal with the devil to escape a marriage she didn't want. Then she spent the whole book complaining about how fair Luke was. Girl, what did you expect? A perfect life? An easy life? He's the damn devil. Penny says, you know what's really interesting and will totally lure the reader in? Addie's countless hookups during history and badly written sex scenes. Addie running around, whining and blaming the devil for her self-inflicted misery, implicating a love story with said devil but never making it happen. From Yumiko, I just wanted her to surrender her soul so she could die and we'd be rid of her for good. Then Addie LaRue meets a boy, great, as if she couldn't be any more insufferable. Audrey, in a nutshell, I spent half the book rolling my eyes and the other half cringing. L, I genuinely found 0 redeeming qualities in this book. I was basically bored to tears. Kit, Addie is 7 freckles in a trench coat, and please learn the difference between a constellation and an asterim. Also, that Swiss isn't a language, and 100% chocolate isn't sweet. Gracie, it's been a minute since I've had a book actually cause me physical pain from how disappointing it was. Emily, a rapist, an abuser, and the most boring human walk into a bar, and then nothing happens aside from what you'd expect a rapist, abuser, and most boring human alive to do. Milka says, can someone please explain to Miss Schwab that it's okay to be girly? It's okay to be a woman and like girly things. I swear it's every bleeping novel she writes. Every female character she writes produces the same, not like every girl energy, and I really thought we left that crap back in 2014. Thank you so much for those insightful and delightful reviews to all of you. So now I'm going to give my overall review of this book 1 star. This is a pretentious novel filled with navel-gazing crap, especially at the end when it's like, oh, this is the book, and I was like, bleh. This book is like aging/poverty porn. It really pissed me off. It's corniness, pretending to be profound. It's literally just a Mary Sue Shadow Daddy romantasy pretending it's lit fic because it's into stories and storytelling and narrative, and you are insufferable. So that's all I have to say about that right now. Thank you so much for listening. As always, please leave me a comment or a review if you would like me to read your book, your favorite book, your least favorite book, a book you had to read in school, literally anything. Please let me know what you would like me to talk about next, and I would be so happy to do it. For now, thank you again so much for listening to I Hated That Book, and I'll see you next time.